Hi, I'm Lenny Schmidt.
And I'm Robert Robbins.
And this is Not Your Father's Show. This is a show Robert and I started actually years ago. We stopped doing it, and we're bringing it back. We talk about being a parent raising kids in 2022 as opposed to when we were kids growing up in 1978 or whatever.
That's right. And we cover all sorts of topics from not just parenting, but also parents themselves, what they go through. So you can also relate knowing you're not alone, including divorced, as well as married or people out there trying to date again.
Yeah, and there's tons, and there's so much we can talk about. This is post-COVID, so that adds a whole nother layer to everything. So we're going to get into that a little bit later. So we're going to talk about a lot of things that we haven't seen as parents. Many parents have never seen in their lifetime. So watch the video. Do me a favor real quick. Hit the like button. Hit a quick thumbs up. Share it with some other parents. Subscribe to the channel. We'll be on every week, Mondays at 6. And you can listen to us, and we'll talk about just about everything we can think about when it comes to being a kid. I'm a comedian background. I'm a comic. I have 2 teenage daughters. I'm divorced, and I don't know that much.
I'm Robert Robbins, and I'm a marriage and family therapist. I primarily work with teens, parents, and couples. I'm married, and we have a preteen daughter.
Oh, right on.
Yeah.
Okay, there we go.
Also, if there's a topic that you haven't seen us cover, write us in. You can reach us at notyourfathershow@gmail.com, and we'd love to tackle it. If you have any questions, also send us an email.
Okay, cool. Let's go. Let's say subject, Mr. Therapist.
Well, once again, this is for entertainment purposes, not counseling or therapy.
That's right.
So this one, we're coming out of the pandemic in a gray area. People are trying to find their traction. What schools are doing, what different counties are doing, what the mandates are or are not. But one thing is factual, which is past. People have been locked down for about 1.5 years. Kids have been isolated. You know, here's a term that they call it. And without getting into politics, because that's not what we want to bring up in this show. It was deemed social distancing, but let's look at kids. What it is isolation. And when you have an isolation for a child, especially for 1.5 years, no sports, no activities with peers, and you can't say
no interaction with anybody.
None.
Yeah.
Then you have parents that are probably undergoing their own stress financially, work-wise. What do I do with my kids? I still have a job, but someone needs to watch my kid, and they're not old enough to be by themselves. Some of them became latchkey kids and were given way too much freedom, especially with social media and electronic devices.
Yeah, well, I think there's 2 different aspects of it. One is you talk about the financial aspects and how some parents, the amount of stress parents are under over the last year, some of them lost their jobs, some of them don't have careers. Some flourished, some found different jobs. But parents were under a lot of pressure, and kids feel that pressure. Mm-hmm. And so they lost. But I think the most important thing to me is I can't imagine what it's like to lose a whole 1.5 years of development when you're a young teen. That's a lot to be. Imagine losing all of your year 13 gone.
Or 1.5 years, you're looking at the majority of junior high.
Yeah, I mean, you it's almost half a high school, really, mm-hmm. in some levels, and that's got to be developmental wise. That's got to be a huge backlash. I have no idea how these kids are going to react moving forward.
Absolutely. Let's compare it to something that you can understand from your own perspectives. Let's say
pizza.
Let's say everyone had pizza and you had none. That would be awful, right?
That's right.
Do you know when you were in high school or junior high or even elementary school, that one kid that was homeschooled, like maybe they're still on your soccer team or whatever it is,
right?
But they don't have those social skills. I mean, they might have a great education from their parents.
They were just weird. You called them weird. Everybody thought they were weird.
Everyone thought why are you smiling at me and so open and friendly when everyone else has the let me bust your chops for a bit. Guys start busting balls and tease each other.
They're happy to meet you. This is your friend? Yeah, what's with the stupid hat?
Yeah. Exactly. I mean, some of these social things that you learn along the way are what appropriate and inappropriate. For example, some kids were used to taking off all their clothes when they're home up to the age of 6 or 7. But knowing in school that that's not appropriate,
right?
And there's that one. Hey, you were that one kid, weren't you?
I take my clothes off in public all the time. Well, it doesn't seem like it's a bad thing to do.
That's for other reasons.
Some people pay me to not take my clothes off, actually.
So in this situation, we have to understand that the friends they make, the false friends, the betrayal, the trust, being teased, bullied, not avoiding bullies, knowing that authority figures come in and out of their life. Sometimes they like them, sometimes they don't. Saying, okay, well, here's a kid in my class. I don't really like them, but I don't dislike them. All of those things are really important. Same thing with sports. Now, if you take all of that away, there is no guideline for finding your way. And this is called our mores and taboos in our society, like what's acceptable and what's not. For example, with a group of friends, when you've earned that level of friendship, you can bust each other's chops. If you're not, then it becomes teasing. What I tell most of the kids that come into my office when it comes to teasing, if there's a hint of truth, someone's feelings can get hurt unintentionally.
Right. Right. And I try to teach my kids all the time too is, and you don't understand this, is just because you don't think they're upset or they should be upset doesn't mean they're not upset. You have to understand when somebody's really feeling their feelings are hurt.
Yeah.
You might be like, don't be so upset. That's stupid. Doesn't matter. You know, if someone's hurt, someone's hurt.
For sure.
Right.
And you have 100% right to feel anything you want to feel. Any emotion you want to feel, you have 100% right. You also have 100% responsibility to accept what you do and don't do with those feelings. You can't lash out. That's unacceptable. You know, you're responsible for what you do.
Yeah, your actions are your own. That's something another thing I try to teach the kids.
These are some of the things you learn growing up. And it's the same when it comes to learning that what's appropriate and inappropriate. For example, we've put internet and social media, here you go, to all the kids. A lot of people are thinking, well, I'm worried about giving them a smartphone or internet access because I'm worried what they can find out in the world. It's actually backward. You're saying, hey, world, here's my child. That's what you do. Now we're forced, kids are really smart. For example, if you've ever been in an argument with your spouse or girlfriend or the mother of your child, kids pick up on it. Even if they don't hear the yelling or argument or whatever it is, they can see tension. And kids generally think of the worst case scenario, what could happen. Some of them disconnect and push themselves away like, I don't care. Whatever happens, happens. So in this situation where we've been in this lockdown, parents have these stressors, financial, as well as what do I do with my kid? There's no sports.
Right.
There's nothing else. Here's internet. Here's Zoom school. Here's gaming. You know, before the pandemic, I had parents saying, how do I get my kids off games?
Yeah, this thing, we turned around and pushed them right back into stuff that we were trying to get them out of before the COVID. Yeah.
Safety of, like, I don't want them to game online. Now it's like, go make friends online.
Yeah, before it was like only so much screen time, and now it's just like, just all screen time. Just do it. Yeah.
I'm sure people are getting their eyes checked left and right and like, I need a prescription after all.
I did. I had to get my new, not these, but my other glasses. I have specific glasses I use for the computer now.
Yeah.
My eyes are all messed up. I just had to get them updated twice over COVID. Plus, I'm old. I'm falling apart.
Yeah, but you've been doing a lot of editing and you've had, what, 4 shows going on?
Yeah, that's right. I've been working a lot.
You have?
It's been a lot of staring at a monitor. Yeah.
Yeah, that's not good. You got to cut out that blue light.
Yeah.
Which is a whole other episode we'll talk about with your kids later on. In this situation, they have not learned a lot of things that they should have going into it. And now that kids are back in school, there's a lot of tension. There's girls that are boy crazy. And the only influence they have, I don't know if you remember this, but...
Temptation Island?
Yeah, you were on it, weren't you? Oh, you were on a different show.
It was a whole different show. My show didn't make it to network.
Anyway, you have the back in the day, people were like, I don't know how I can keep up with MTV. MTV is molding my kid. This is 20 plus years ago. Now it's different. It's social media is molding your kid. What all those peers are. You take social media and you see these people that are influencers and how perfect their life is. And they're thinking, well, my life sucks because I live here in, a 2-bedroom house with my parents or something.
And look at the
like
life this person's living.
Yeah.
Right. But that's all a lie. It's a facade. Everything online, you're only showing, no one shows their bad day on the internet.
Yeah. No, it's, it reminds me of Zoolander, when he comes with the song, everyone's watching to see what
Yeah.
All these kids are walking out and saying like, I have to look this way. I have to be this way because they're so used to all these filters, all these TikTok and Snap videos.
Yes, it is now. When I take a picture with the girls, it's got to get approved by them like 3 or 4 before. I'll take 10 pictures.
Yeah.
I'll just approve whichever one you want. And they'll go through them all. You know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
they're being told what they should be put out there on social media.
Exactly. And it's all a judgment, instead of having, self-confidence or self-validation, they're looking at the validation of the likes, the views, people watching it.
Yeah, the fake friendship. You know what I mean?
And
what do they call it? The dopamine, right?
The dopamine, oxytocin, and serotonin that are firing off in your brain. Okay. And that's exactly it.
You went to college.
A little more than that. So I actually, a few weeks ago, I was with my daughter. We were at Lowe's and we were in the parking lot. And so I was about ready to turn on the key to the car. We were about ready to leave. And she's like, wait. And I'm like, what? And she's like, look over there. I was like, what is it? And there were these two girls that were setting up their camera, and they were doing the dancing for a TikTok video where they're kicking and, doing their thing. And must have been high school, maybe college age. Obviously they had their own car. They were there. And she's like, just watch them. And I'm like, are we watching because you want to do this? I'm like, oh man. And she's like, no. I think it's stupid, but it's entertaining to watch them. I said, how so? And she's like, I wouldn't subscribe or watch their stuff. I don't care if they can dance or, I like seeing that they're spending, she's like, they were there when we got here. You were in Lowe's forever. And I'm like, I know, it's one of my favorite places, that and Bass Pro. And she's like, yeah, Dad, you were in there forever. And they're still doing this. Like, I would go crazy trying to do this again and again and again just to get it right to get someone's likes. I'm like, I hope you don't feel that way about soccer. And she's like, that's different.
That's different. It's totally different. Well, do you remember when you and I and Nick went out to dinner at was it Tequila's or something like that? Mm-hmm. And our way out, there were two girls outside of the ladies' room, and they were taking selfies. Yeah. And it was 25 minutes of them taking all these different angles. No, try it again. No, try it again. No, it was really 30 minutes, and you're standing there watching. This is how you're spending your day.
You just lost happy hour. You just passed the time.
It's happy hour. Let's go, man.
I know.
We got an hour of Jeep drinks and tacos.
You do, yeah.
Let's make it happen.
And then it's the same thing with not just doing that, but also people spending. You ever see the pictures of there's a nice beach and you see like a dozen women in bikinis sitting there, and there's always a dude
I've seen those pictures
taking the picture, and he's waiting. And he's like, "This is my vacation that I spent money going to Maui just for this." Yeah. I'm sure he didn't want to do that.
Right.
But there's always someone taking that picture.
Right.
And that's their life. So much of it is consumed. There's a few people I know that are influencers. They're gamers, influencers, and they're out there. And they do okay. But their whole life is about feeding that beast. Like, I've got to get more content. I've got to get more content. Right. What they sacrifice is friendships because they don't have time for it. They sacrifice relationships of significant, interpersonal, intimate relationship because they have to have that photographer or someone else always taking pictures.
Well, you're also losing the purest thing, which is just the moment, man. You're losing the moment. If you're, and Anna and I were in Disneyland a couple of weeks ago, and we took the Rise of the Resistance ride, thing, which was great.
Yeah.
And I saw it, and I'm like, I wanted to take pictures, but then I'm like, I don't want to take pictures because I wanted to really experience the ride. I don't know if you've ever done it. But it does.
I have.
Yeah, it's great. You go through it's a whole thing where you get kidnapped and stuff. And I'm like, for one second.
Did you get a fly? Did you get to be Han Solo?
No, you know what? No, that was the Millennium Falcon. Right. Well, I did the Falcon earlier in the day. And no, I got on with the family, and it was just a little annoying. We got on with the family, and there was two little kids. And the dad goes, hey, Jimmy, you want to fly? And Jimmy's like, yeah. And he's like 4. You know what I mean? Yeah, so the whole time, he doesn't realize he's actually controlling the ship. So, so we're going sideways through the whole thing, and I'm sitting there, and Anna's sitting next to me, and she's like, I'm sorry, Dad. I go, sorry, I don't want to be that guy. I want to be, he's a 4-year-old, what I mean? But I did grow up watching this stuff, and I was kind of dreaming of this.
Yeah.
I guess we'll just ride into the side of the building. That's okay. No problem. So I didn't get to do that, but the Rise of the Resistance is the longer one when you get kidnapped, and there was so much cool stuff going on. I just wanted to experience it.
Yeah.
I just wanted to see it. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? I took one picture during that whole thing.
Right.
But you lose. One of the purest things I've studied or I've learned when I went to therapy was being in the moment. And you lose the moment if you're constantly trying to find. People think you're capturing the moment. You're missing it if you're taking pictures and you're doing all this stuff. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
You're really losing an experience.
Do you remember when you had to develop film?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So you only had so many shots, right?
Yeah.
So you're having fun, and everyone would get together for that one shot of all of you together, and you're like, oh, I can't wait to. And after that, you're like, okay, one more just for safety. Now, okay, now you get back to what you're doing.
Yeah.
And the best moments of your life, I'm sure, are not the ones that you're taking pictures of putting on social media.
Right. Yeah,
They really
that's
are.
true. No, I believe you. Yeah, 100%.
Now, how does this apply to your kids? For me, my daughter, we don't allow her to have any social media right now. And it's you go out, play, have fun, do things.
Yeah.
And I'm the one always. I have a film background, so I'm the one always filming and taking those pictures. But with social media at this age, it's like, look at me. And unfortunately, too many people are also using social media as a diary and a way to vent. So that is their only social interaction. Mm-hmm. Now you put them back in school and fights are breaking out. First couple of weeks of school already in this school district, LA Unified, as well as Hart School District, a lot of fights are breaking out because you ever see that Family Circus cartoon where Jeffy's on the ground and Billy is standing over him?
Oh, Jeffy eats the cat?
No,
No,
he's crying and he's telling his mom, he's like, well, he thought he was still behind a screen, so I popped his bitch ass, you know? That's the thing. A lot of people are used to just not having that filter and
well, plus you
teasing
can
people.
edit stuff when you put it online.
Yeah.
You know, if you take a picture and stuff, you have got 2, 3, 4. Like we were talking about the girls earlier, picking pictures. In real life, you have a conversation. It's real. It's happening right then.
is.
You can't edit it or fix it.
You can't filter it, and you can't unring a bell.
And kids are walking away now from these situations, and they're feeling stupid. Oh, I can't believe I said this. I can't believe I did that. I can't believe I did. Not realizing that's just life. That's called interaction.
That's okay. Wait for 20 years when you're trying to fall asleep one night before a big interview. You're going to think of the things that you regretted that you did in 5th grade. There you go.
Yeah, right on.
It's going to come right back. But a lot of the things, you know, people would troll and say things online that like, oh, you look this or that or negative, negative, negative. Now here they are in school. There is no screen you can hide behind. You're right there. If you start saying smack, you're going to be held accountable.
Right. In the last year and a half, these kids haven't had any human. And I think about, what about the toughest part? I mean, everybody went through a lot of different things the last year and a half. But I think the toughest part would be right when you're starting to learn to meet girls and associate with people in that, like middle school, I think is probably those years where you're learning how to talk to other people, girls and people, and you lose a year and a half of that. Right. I mean, that's brutal. Can you imagine going from 6th grade to 8th grade?
Well, yeah, it's exactly going from, let's say it's before you like the opposite sex. And our show is geared more around just, for example, heterosexual, because we both have, you know, you were married, I was married.
Yeah. Right.
So that's the example we're giving. In this sense, it's that, like, do you like boys yet? Do you like girls yet? Right. You know, and there's a big line. There's a big difference when it happens. So let's say you're right before that line, that cusp, just before starting puberty, and then you're in the lockdown, and then surprise, now you're in junior high. You're in 8th grade.
Yeah.
It's like, oh yeah, everyone has these hormones, and the girls are boy crazy, and the boys are girl crazy, and they have no sense of responsibility or how to court the opposite sex.
Right.
And that's the problem.
Yeah.
You know? So
dating is going to suck for these kids. They're short. You know what I mean? You've lost a year and a half of dating time. I mean, imagine from the age of 17 to almost 20.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or not 20, but into 19. You losing 2 years of dating is just going to be, Tinder's going to suck in your early 20s.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean?
You know, you're going to do you still like Pokemon?
It's just going to be.
What about Pokemon
They'll be
Go?
liking everything. Just, what's a hookup? I'm up for it. You know.
Well, this also has a sense of, do you remember the swipe mentality when Tinder and Bumble were first coming out?
Yeah.
So if you don't like it, you just swipe. Instant gratification, no delayed gratification.
Right.
With this social interaction, it's the same thing. If you don't like someone, you're like, oh, whatever, I don't care about them anyway. You never have a chance to put in your energy, as long as it's reciprocal, to have someone like you back and say, okay, just because you don't like them, just be a conversation that you may have doesn't mean like, okay, screw you, I'm done.
Right. Well, also, you don't give yourself the patience to learn about another person.
No.
I mean, first of all, that's a product of our internet and social media anyway, where everything is just instantly
annoying,
like, follow, block, or attack. If someone doesn't like you or what you say, people don't ignore you anymore. They attack you. They come at you and they say you're stupid for saying this, you're dumb for doing that. But it's all invisible faces on the internet.
Right.
So now when these kids are doing stuff face to face, the interaction part, it's going to be a repercussion of how they respond to to that conflict. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
'Cause that's what it's not only is it going to be tough for them to communicate with everybody, but it's going to be tough for them how they react when someone actually communicates with them in a negative way.
Right.
Right.
I think we're going to see a huge rise in cyberbullying as well.
Yeah, I think so too. Right.
Because now that they're all together and they're exchanging their snaps and TikToks and Instagrams, that there's going to be a predominant, like, there's their username.
Well, I think there'll be more fights too. Like you said, there's 2 fights at your school already.
Yeah. I mean my daughter's school. Like yeah.
No, he's in 8th grade. Yeah.
Yeah, there's no fights at the doctoral level except with the board looking at your stuff.
Yeah, then there's a fight.
Yeah. But you got to be like, yes, sir, and keep taking it.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir. I have another.
Yeah.
Okay.
In this sense, there is no filter, unfortunately, and that's the important things that kids have lost with their peers is the, social mores and taboos.
Right.
Like what's acceptable, what's not. Plus responsibility, and it also goes back to parenting. What are you doing with your kid to make sure that they're the good kid in school? Mm-hmm. I've had a lot of parents that come in and they didn't realize that sometimes their kid is the bully.
Right. Yeah, they're shocked.
Yeah.
Like, my kid would never do this. Really?
Yeah, they do.
Yeah. That's one good thing about social media is you can show them actual text. Really? This is what your kid sent my kid.
Yeah.
You did what? You know what I mean? It's actually
Yeah.
That's another thing I don't think kids understand is this stuff is all, it doesn't go away.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? You can't just go, well, I don't know what you're talking about and delete something.
And, getting away from the everyone deserves a trophy, that I think that was a primary catalyst that moved the next generation into a different level, which is you have to tell kids sometimes it's not okay. You have to be like, yeah, that's not all right. Sometimes you lose, sometimes you fail.
Right.
And you have to be a better person for it.
Right.
So when a kid lashes out at their parents and they snap back, that's not okay. I've had parents come in and saying, well, after they had a temper tantrum and yelled at me, and I'm like, why are you allowing your kids to yell at you?
Yeah, why is that happening?
The first time, and the mentality with a lot of these parents is, well, you lose a few battles, but you win the war. I'm like, no, there's no battle. There's no war.
Yeah, right.
It's you're teaching them how to be a better human being.
How to be a person.
Yes.
Right.
So the first time, there's inappropriate behavior, you have to be like, that's not okay. For example, when your child was old enough to know right from wrong and they threw something at you, you didn't think it was cute like they were a baby. You're like, no,
Right.
don't do that. At some point when they become preteens and
My mom hit a
teenagers,
little harder than that.
mine did too. Oh God. But in that sense, you have to say, this is not okay. You have to tell your preteen and teen, like, that's not acceptable.
Right.
What's wrong with you? I've taught you better than this. This is not okay. You represent all of us as a family, as a whole.
Right.
So when you go out and you are not a good person in junior high or high school or wherever else, then it reflects on us. And you have to take that responsibility.
Right. Well, I'm constantly worried about, I don't worry so much about reflecting on me because I don't care if people look at me and go say whatever. But
Yeah, you're a comic.
yeah, I'm like, whatever. But I'm constantly worried about, like, when I was younger, if you screwed up, you could move to another town and reinvent your life and become a different, you know what I mean? No, whatever the kids do these days, whatever my daughters do, whatever, that's going to follow them around forever.
Yeah.
We're living in a day and age now where, look, it just happened recently where a girl had to resign from this online publication. I can't remember the one off the top of my head. I should look it up. Because of something she tweeted back when she was in high school.
Yeah.
I mean, it literally went that far back, and people are going back 10 years on text and emails and Facebook, social media interaction, holding that against accountable to people. So if you make a mistake online, that could follow you around a lot longer than.
And people can screenshot it even if you delete it.
100%. Yeah, that's another thing. Yeah.
Same thing happened with James Gunn,
Right.
a few years ago.
Yeah.
And Disney, and also Billie Eilish recently.
Well, that's how. Chris D'Elia got in trouble. That's how he got in trouble. Was his when he was hooking up or trying to hook up with underage girls.
Yeah.
On Instagram. And he figured it's not funny. Well, anyway, there's a video of him the moment he realizes, because he's like, he's in an interview talking to people at a podcast, and he goes, Instagram, it deletes, it doesn't stay, or no, Snapchat, that's the one. He goes, Snapchat just deletes, it doesn't stay, it doesn't stay out there forever.
Right.
And someone goes, yeah, but you can take a screenshot, and then you have a screenshot of it, and the look on his face was just like, like he never thought of that, and it hit him. He's like, yeah, you can take a screenshot of anything and keep it and show it back out there later.
Yeah.
So nothing disappears.
Well, years ago when Snapchat came out, I had a lot of teens that were coming in saying, oh, I'm doing this and that on Snap, but don't worry, it's gone in 24 hours. And I'm like, you know that a lot of times people are screen recording or someone else is recording while they're doing it.
Sure. Yeah.
So it's out there.
Yeah.
And you can never, ever, ever take it back.
Yeah. Right.
Even
exactly.
with text, you can't take it back.
Right. No. Yeah. That's why I try to teach the kids. My kids are. I'm lucky. They're pretty good. They're pretty good about it, man. But there's a whole, like we were talking a little bit earlier. I'm worried about where our politicians are going to be like 15, 18 years from now.
Oh, man.
Because no one's learning what it's like to be held accountable for mistakes anymore.
Yeah.
You know, they're either being canceled and attacked, or they're deflecting and blaming people and then ignoring. Like there's always some sort of weird ignoring justification thing,
Right.
Where they go, "No, it wasn't. Well, I did that because of this," and you're like, "No, that was wrong." No, and you know, there's no interaction. The interaction is lost with this. You know what I mean?
Which goes all the way back to the pandemic and being locked down and not learning some of those social cues and do's and don'ts.
Yeah. So the bottom line is we're all screwed in the next 4 years. I think we're all screwed.
I think we're going to see it. You're right, in like 15 years.
Yeah. Plus, I think you're right about what you said about the cyberbullying, and even more so with the physical, because these kids are going to get into a fight and not realize it hurts. You know, they're gonna.
Oh my gosh! Yeah.
Some 7th grader is gonna mouth off to someone. You know, and sometimes you want to say, sometimes I'm like, I miss the days when you could just punch a guy in the mouth for saying the wrong thing. You know, there was something about getting popped, and you went, "You're right, my bad."
Yeah. Learning don't do that.
Yeah.
Instead of you hurt my feelings.
Yeah, but now
you
it's
hurt
like,
my face.
Yeah, now I'm triggered, and it's a whole thing, and you know. And somebody punches you, and then you go to the principal and your dad, and then you're going to get sued, and there's a whole different aspect.
Well, you mentioned something just now about being triggered. Yeah, there's things that anyone that's watching this, if you've gone down the 405 or the 101, I'm sure you're triggered. Okay, there's a million things.
Sure.
But you know what? Part of being an adult, part of being a responsible human being, is saying that sucks. You swear out of the side of your mouth, but you let it go.
Right.
You know, that's it.
Right.
And we need to teach that with our kids. You know what? Someone's going to hurt your feelings, and that's okay. Brush it off and keep going. Unless it's the parents that are hurting their feelings.
Well, it could be the parents. There's a whole nother episode.
What do you mean? What do you mean I got to take out the garbage again? I just did that yesterday.
Yeah. This is a conversation I had with Lily yesterday.
Taking out the garbage?
No, this was what happened yesterday. I got up yesterday and made her breakfast. And then I went to.
Where are we on time? Is this the next episode?
No, we got to wrap it up. We got to go. You're right. I'm sorry. I got another.
This is a whole nother episode.
Anyway, there's a whole year and a half the kids lost with the social interaction, and I think it's important for them. It's important that they. I don't know how we're going to get through this, but it's important to communicate with your kids and realize that their words have consequences and actions, and really listen to them moving forward, because they're going to be relearning how to meet people again.
Now you sound like the therapist.
Well, I did say I have a moment.
You have your gems. You do.
Yeah, I do.
So, as Lenny was saying, when you walk away from this, absolutely set up a safe place where you can communicate with your kids. You have to let them know. Sometimes they are going to get their feelings hurt, but don't react unless it's something very justified, which is a longer conversation. As long as you have that safe space, and then get them out there, get them in sports, get them involved, and be a part of their lives.
Yeah, get them back out in the society again to start to meet people and learn to interact with human beings again.
And tell them some of your stories, do's and don'ts. What are some of the lessons that you had growing up, and learn not to do that again?
Yeah, they love to hear that.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You want your allowance?
When I was a kid,
you want to go out again?
I never thought I would say that. I say it all the time
back?
now.
There you go.
I know. All right, man. Thanks. So every Monday at 6 o'clock, we'll be back with different topics, different subjects. We'll talk about more. 6 p.m. Pacific time. I'm sorry, I should probably say that. 6 p.m. Pacific time was when we'll be back with Not Your Father's Show. I'm Lenny Schmidt.
And I'm Robert Robbins.
Thanks a lot.